In this video, we will compare state taxes with tariffs and show how they're very similar and the impact is almost exactly the same. And to do this, we're going to compare it to the state taxes in Florida and compare the difference and similarities. So, of course, we have new additional income that will come in from tariffs, similar to income tax, but it comes by the importer. So the new cost of our imported goods that are tariffed will of course be the product plus the shipping plus the tariff, and it's marked up from there. So let's compare that to Florida state tax. When we purchase something in Florida, we pay 6% extra, and that goes to pay for the state budget. If we buy coffee and it's tariffed, the money that was paid to the federal government is also going to pay for services. So in both cases, we're paying more money at the consumption level. If you don't buy it, you don't pay for it. The added cost is imposed by and goes to the government, either the state or the federal. So from those standpoints, the state tax being a consumption tax and the fact that it's imposed by and goes to the government, they're pretty much exactly the same. So who pays for this additional federal revenue? Say we bring in $500 billion in tariff revenue. How much as a percentage of their income does the top 1% pay for tariffed goods? A very negligible amount. Maybe not 1%. It would be so small that they actually spent of their total fortune on just tariffed goods. It's a tiny amount. So the rest of the $500 billion is being paid for by everybody else. And that's why this is important, because the people that are making the policy are the ones that are reaping the biggest benefit, and that's why it's a problem. This additional federal revenue is being paid for the most by the poorest people because it's a regressive tax. And to illustrate this, let's look at Florida. Florida uses consumption taxes almost solely to pay for the budget. So rich people don't buy nearly as much as compared to how much they make. So the rich people pay 2.7% of their income to pay for the state budget. The middle, 60%, are paying 9%. And the bottom 20% pay 13% of their bring home pay to pay for the state budget. So after all federal taxes, the poorest people in Florida have to allocate 13% of their bring home pay to pay for Florida's budget, while the person that is super rich is paying 2.7%. In California and New York and places with state income taxes, it's virtually even. There is a 1 to 2 point difference in both California and New York as far as how much poor people and rich people pay of their income to pay for the state. And in everywhere that does not have a state income tax, the disparity is horrendous, like Florida. Florida's the worst. Now, in Florida, the poorest people have exemptions for food and other things. So the disparity that you're looking at between the amount that's getting paid is tempered already by exemptions. But when we add in new tariffs that raise the price, so now the new price of coffee went up, they're not exempt from that. So the disparity and the impact that is going to hit, particularly the poorest in the country from this, is more than you're seeing in the case study here in Florida. The disparity is even worse than sales tax. So what you're dealing with here is a situation where the top 1% that are making the policy are going to pay virtually nothing for a tariffed revenue, while the rest of us are going to pay whatever gets made in tariffs as our effective tax rate. We're the ones paying for it. And that's how come it matters. Everyone, whether you voted for Trump or whether you didn't vote or whether you're a Democrat, you should care that the people are rigging the system. I mean, I don't think Trump supporters said, I am voting so that they can get the billionaires in there and rig the system so they have a bunch of revenue and they push the tax burden off of them and onto everybody else. It's just not the right thing to do. And everybody should be looking at tariffs in this light. It's not about the trade war and it's not about anything else other than they are creating additional revenue and they don't have to pay for it. And if it were an accident and it just so happened that it happened and they made a mistake and accidentally got all the benefit, it would be one thing. But the Project 2025 that everybody was talking about, that they've been following to the letter so far, directly in there it says they want to get rid of all corporate and income taxes and go to 100% consumption tax. So all of those states that are even right now, that's the difference. The people that are paying the same amount across, whether you're poor or rich, in state taxes, that's what they want to do at the federal level. They want to turn the federal tax system into Florida and where they get off scot free. And it's not right. And everybody should be talking about it with their friends and saying, how can we allow the system to be rigged right in front of us and just let it happen? Republicans need to speak up and say, it's not right that you're taxing me. So please, everybody, absorb this and understand that tariffs have one goal: push the tax burden from the people that are making the policy to everybody else. Thank you.